One man, thousands of servers, one answer and no questions, one belief system and two groups, us and the others. Reports about people who were pressured to stay, who lost their minds, and who saw others go crazy without receiving help. How does the Goenka organization shape people's minds? Through isolation, repetition, environment, and control. This is Goenka-style Vipassana, a worldwide network of identical 10-day silent retreats. Standardized, scripted, the same everywhere. Every center plays the same recordings, the same chants, the same rules. Some people call it discipline. Others call it control. Forget the word cult. Let's focus on what it does. A classic cult usually has a strong central authority, pressure to depend on the group, and control over what people believe. Goenka Vipassana doesn't have a living leader, but it does rely completely on one man's voice, Hassan Goenka, who has been dead for years. Every rule, every instruction, every explanation of life, pain, fear, and emotion goes through him. No changes, no updates, no debate. This doesn't mean it was built with bad intentions. We don't know that, and he isn't alive to explain himself. But we can look at what the system does, and in practice, it fits the real-world definition of a high-control system. One that can slowly change how you think, how you see yourself, and how you understand the world. For many participants, the experience feels grounding, helpful, or meaningful, but that doesn't remove the structural risks built into the system. The real questions aren't, is it a cult? They're much simpler. Does it isolate you? Does it limit what information you get? Does it explain away your doubts? Does it pull you back for more? Does it do this when you're tired, silent, and vulnerable? If yes, the label doesn't matter. The impact does. Look at how the retreats are structured. No talking, no reading, no writing, no contact with the outside world. Leaving is allowed, but emotionally discouraged. No questioning of the rules, a strict schedule, the same at every center, worldwide. Long hours alone in silence, without trained mental health professionals or trauma-informed support. None of these things alone are harmful. Silence and structure can help people, but together they create a tightly controlled environment. When you break it down, it works a lot like what cult researchers describe as a high-control system. Behavior is tightly scheduled, information comes from one source, doubt is reframed as personal weakness. Strong emotions are treated as part of purification. Whether this was intentional or not doesn't change the outcome. The structure is powerful, especially when someone is vulnerable. Research shows that extended silence and sensory restriction can increase suggestibility and emotional intensity, which makes participants more responsive to structured guidance. You wake up at 4 a.m. to a loud gong. Meditate, meditate, meditate. The only voice you hear is Goenka's recordings. 2 small meals, short walks, back to meditation, repeat. 10 hours a day, no phone, no books, no comfort. Every hour is planned. When your behavior is controlled this tightly, your thoughts and beliefs become easier to shape. No news, no books, no outside opinions. For 10 days, your only explanation of your mind comes from one source, Goenka. Pain is explained his way. Fear is explained his way. Doubt is explained his way. Trauma is explained his way. Not necessarily malicious, but closed. You don't get any other viewpoints. Research on high control groups shows that environments where participants only hear one perspective can systematically influence beliefs and interpretation of experience. Inside the retreat, everything gets renamed. Pain, past impurities dissolving. Doubt, a hindrance. Wanting to leave, aversion. Emotional overwhelm, ego resisting. No medical explanations, no psychological framing, no outside help. Just one way to understand everything. Simple repeated phrases: observe, be equanimous, don't react. Psychological research shows that repeated cues like this can function as mental stop signs, shaping how participants think about themselves and their experiences. Over time, you start thinking in their words instead of your own. That slowly changes how you understand yourself and the world. Silence, isolation, exhaustion. These conditions reliably make emotions stronger. Long periods without external input increase suggestibility. Long meditation can make emotions swing. Then relief is given. Chants, guided calm, approval from teachers. Stress, relief, stress, relief. Behavioral research shows that these cycles of stress and relief strengthen attachment to routines and authority figures. That cycle is powerful, and the brain gets attached to it. The retreats claim to remove ego. What often happens? I survived 10 days. I'm more disciplined. I'm stronger. Endurance becomes identity. Your self-worth gets tied to the system, and that makes it harder to question it later. Vipassana isn't a one-time thing. You're encouraged to meditate daily, return yearly, volunteer, and take longer courses. Optional, but constantly encouraged. The more you go back, the more normal the rules feel, the more natural the language becomes, and the system grows around your life. This doesn't mean Goenka built this with bad intentions. We can't know that. He isn't here to explain himself. But we can look at how the system works, and in real life, it fits the definition of a high control system, one that can slowly reshape how you think, how you see yourself, and how you understand the world. Not because it's evil, but because the structure is powerful. Isolation, repetition, authority, exhaustion, ritual. You don't need bad intent for harm. You just need a powerful system without enough safeguards. Some participants find it grounding and helpful. Others experience stress, confusion, or emotional difficulty, and there's little professional support to help them process it. Vipassana changes people. That can feel helpful, but it also comes with significant dangers. People deserve to understand the risks before they step in.